It's been a while since you've seen this hair, but I just got it cut and I'm super excited about it. So I was like, I gotta curl my hair for the video and make it look all good. Maybe I curled only the front so you guys can't see the back. Maybe not. We'll never know. I'll talk about the first stage of my Candida diet now that it is done and I have transitioned into stage 2. About, I would say 2.5 months ago, I found out that I had a Candida overgrowth in my stomach. And in normal amounts in our stomach, like we all have Candida in our stomach, and at normal amounts, it kind of just hangs out and doesn't do anything. But if you have a leaky gut or if you have some sort of intestinal permeability or stress or inflammation, it can cause an overgrowth of this Candida. I had an overgrowth because I used a ton of antibiotics when I was an infant and into my childhood, and the last 2 years have been quite stressful. And really the last 4 years have been really stressful. And so those two things, stress and antibiotic use, are two of the biggest causes of a Candida overgrowth. So I went to go see a naturopath doctor back in end of January, beginning of February, and ever since then I have been on a very, very strict diet. So I'm gonna go over that today. I wanna preface this by saying first that there's a ton of Candida diets and personal experience videos out there from a bunch of really amazing people, of which I have watched, and I will link down below some of my favorites, just because they've helped me so much. The second I found out I got diagnosed with Candida overgrowth, I was like, I'm gonna go on YouTube and hear other people's stories about their diet. But what I noticed was what my doctor prescribed me was very different from what the people were talking about doing in the videos about their experiences. And so I wanna preface this video by saying that I don't necessarily know that the way that I am doing it is the only way. The reason that I did things a little bit differently is because my doctor at first didn't really know if I had Candida, but she suspected that I did. And so she recommended that I go on kind of a modified Candida protocol, see how things kind of clear up, and then if they didn't clear up, then she would take me into a very, very strict Candida protocol. It's a very hard diet. It's very strict and it's very hard. And our bodies don't really like to change things too quickly. If we do catastrophic caloric deficits, if we're saying, oh, we want to lose 20 pounds in a week, and we cut our calories down to 400 calories a day, it's not too successful. Our bodies are what's happening? I'm so used to eating this certain amount of food or the certain type of food, and now all of a sudden you're only giving me a fourth of that. What's going on? My doctor decided to slowly transition me into a Candida protocol, just to kind of see how things would go and make sure that my body wouldn't get too stressed. Stage 1 of the Candida protocol was as follows. I had to remove from my diet gluten, dairy, fruit, rice, potatoes, bread, anything carbohydrate related, anything carbohydrates. I was not allowed to eat any carbohydrates at all, except for on the days that I exercised, I had a half a cup of a low glycemic, non-starchy carb. So quinoa or brown rice or a little bit of oatmeal, as long as it was gluten-free. I was not able to have alcohol. I couldn't have coffee. I couldn't have tea. I basically couldn't have anything except for water. One of the things that my doctor wanted me to do from day 1 was take a lot of supplements. I got a lot of blood work done. I got a spit test done, all of this stuff to kind of show me where I was at. And based off of those results and based off the fact that I have Candida, my doctor prescribed me the following supplements. And I say prescribed because these are prescription grade, prescription strength of everything. So I'm gonna go through them really quickly. I am taking a prenatal vitamin. No, I'm not pregnant, but this just has the appropriate amount of folic acid and a lot of other, I think iron too. It's extra strength, super grade multivitamin. And it kind of works out well because we want to start having kids in a couple years. So if I start taking these now, then my body's gonna be ready when I am pregnant. I take this 3 times a day. It's called GI Revive, and it is a powder. So I'll show you guys. It's just a powder in here. It has kind of a sweet taste, but I don't think there's any added sugar. There's definitely not any added sugar. But the most important thing that's in this is glutamine, but also glucosamine, citrus pectin, licorice, aloe vera, slippery elm, marshmallow, chamomile, cat's claw, okra, and zinc. So a lot of those herbs are really, really good for your stomach. So this just helps with my digestion. The thing I take 3 times a day is curcumin. This helps with inflammation. One of the biggest issues that people have when they have leaky gut or some sort of bacterial overgrowth like H. pylori, or in my case Candida, is inflammation in the gut. So turmeric or curcumin helps with inflammation. Taking a really good therapeutic grade multivitamin probiotic is really, really important. To put things in perspective, this has 25 billion units. Take a Young Living Super C chewable vitamin C tablet that has 150 milligrams of vitamin C as a ascorbic acid, but then it also has a 460 milligram Super C blend. So it has rose hips, which is really good for your stomach, and it's also an adaptogen, so it's really good for stress. Acerola, which is basically like cherry extract, and then something that I can't pronounce, camu, and then a lemon citrus blend. Vitamin D levels were super low, so I have to take 10,000 units of this a day. So I take 2 of these tablets a day. Also take Young Living's Super B, so the vitamin B. This is because again, my vitamin B levels were really low, and this has a whole bunch of vitamin B in it. It has like 2,000 times the recommended daily allowance. Then for my stress, I'm taking an adaptogen. It is called Adrenal Balance, and it has a little bit of vitamin C. It has urethro root extract, hawthorn leaf, holy basil, alfalfa, and rhodiola. Yeah, so I have to take this because of my adrenal glands. My adrenal glands are not happy with me. So I take probably like 3 or 4 capsules of this a day. I mix this with my GI Revive, but I have collagen peptides. I was putting this in coffee because this is unflavored. It is the thinnest, yeah, I guess I would say, like, as opposed to thick. It's like the thinnest, most powdery, like protein powder ever that I've ever had. It's my favorite. It's the only protein powder that my nutritionist said was okay to have, and that's because it just comes from, it's basically bone broth, like collagen peptides. But in 2 scoops, there's about 20 grams of protein, so this is really helpful for me. And also, bone broth and collagen have known to help restore your stomach lining and your gut microbiome. Last but not least, every day without fail, I'm having like 4 tablespoons of coconut oil. I actually probably need to buy another one of these because I'm running out because I'm using so much. But coconut oil is antibacterial, antifungal, and antiviral, and so it's really, really important for your immune system as a whole, but then especially in your gut because obviously you're eating it. So it's really, really good for that. What I will say is that right off the bat, I did not follow the coffee and tea thing. I was like, okay, what she's describing to me sounds like a ketogenic diet. I've done keto diets probably 3 times in the past, like 2 or 3 times in the past, so I'll just do that. I'll do a keto diet. And a part of the keto diet is like bulletproof coffee in the morning, and you can have caffeine and all this stuff. What I didn't realize was part of this whole process that I'm finding is that I have adrenal fatigue. And if you have adrenal fatigue, which basically means your adrenal glands are on overdrive, coffee is probably the worst thing that you can do for it. For the first 3 weeks, I was like, listen, lady, you were basically telling me that I can't have carbs, I can't have sugar, I can't have dairy, I can't have gluten, I can't have alcohol, I can't have anything. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I gotta have something, right? So I still had coffee. I definitely reduced my intake during the first like 6 weeks or so, but it was there, it was still there. What I did eat was a ton of vegetables, like a ton, like a lot, mostly steamed. I gave up my vegetable smoothies that I used to do because I was finding that it wasn't really like sitting well with my stomach, that I actually needed to like sit down and chew things in order for my digestion to kind of work properly again. And then also too, I was trying to eat warm foods and not like cold foods because cold foods are really bad for a Candida protocol. Basically, the goal of the first stage of your Candida cleanse is to kill or to starve off the Candida that has overgrown in your stomach. Candida grows off of carbohydrates, so the thought is, or it feeds off of carbohydrates, so the thought is remove it from your diet, and then that way it'll kind of like starve itself and it'll die off. That's what I did. I had no carbohydrates. It was great. I'm just kidding. I'm being dramatic. Actually, I went through the first 4 weeks of that. Like, everything was going great. I lost 7 pounds. I was feeling energetic. Everything was awesome. I was going in the sauna regularly. You know, I wasn't really exercising. I started doing yoga, but I felt awesome. And then I went on vacation. I went to Las Vegas with Kevin, and when we got back, I was a little less like adherent to the diet on vacation. I still was pretty good, but I would say like going into the vacation, I was like 100% adherent to the diet. And then coming back, like on the vacation, I was maybe like 80%. And then coming back, I was like, I'm going to be like 80% again. And I wasn't super strict. Also, during the time after I got back from my vacation, my doctor was like, all right, you need to give up caffeine. Like, I will let you have a couple of decaf coffees, like maybe a couple times a week, once or twice a week. But that's it. You can't have coffee. You can't have caffeine anymore because your adrenal glands are like crying and they need a break. I stopped drinking caffeine and I felt like crap. I gained all the weight back. I'm gonna say I gained like 5 pounds back. Or no, not 5 pounds. I'm not doing that math right. I gained like 3 pounds back, which is, 3 pounds is like here or there. But I was like, okay, I gained weight. I feel a little more inflamed. My digestion's not as good. Maybe it's something. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong. I spent coming back from vacation, I spent like the last 6 weeks or so, I would say, since that time, just trying to figure out what to do and getting really discouraged, and so not really being as adherent as I should be. And I haven't had dairy, I haven't had gluten, but I have had alcohol and I've had more carbohydrates, and I don't really think that my body likes those things now. On top of that, because I gave up caffeine, it was like the mask that caffeine gives you of feeling like good and energetic went away, and then my body was like, yeah, this is how we've been feeling, but you've just been masking it with caffeine, so thanks. Now we're gonna feel like poop. Have fun with that. Felt really, really bad. I just felt tired and lethargic and irritable. I kept pushing through. I kept trying to make things work. I was just trying to make the best of this out of the situation. I was getting acupuncture every week. I was going to hot yoga every week. I started weightlifting a little bit, and that's kind of, I think, when I incorporated weightlifting again, I think that's where things kind of went awry, because weightlifting and CrossFit and high intensity exercise for me was a way for me to rationalize my bad diet and my bad relationship with food. When I stopped exercising and I was really adherent to the diet before I went on vacation, I was like in it. I'm like, you know what? I don't need to weightlift for the next couple months. Like, it's totally fine. I was actually starting to see results, and I don't just mean the weight, but I do mean just like my energy and kind of how my body was responding to it. I just felt better. I felt like for the first time, my body was like, thanks, girl. You're doing what we want you to do, and this is helping a lot. I got less adherent, and then, things just kind of fell off the bandwagon a little bit. Not completely, but definitely a little bit. And I just like I felt kind of like off. Now I went to see the doctor a couple weeks ago, and I feel like I was just kind of in this place where I was really frustrated. I was like, nothing's working. Like, I thought that it was working, and I was like making progress, and then it stopped, and I kind of went down, and I stayed here. And it's not like I'm back at baseline. Like, things have been improving, but not like I want them to. My doctor was like, you know what, we have to keep going. Like, keep doing what you're doing. Like, stay away from carbohydrates, etc., etc. I kind of feel like things got like messy because I started reintroducing certain things and seeing how they responded to my body. Like, I reintroduced fruit and potatoes and things like that. And I felt okay for the most part, but I think over time I got, like I said, too lax with my diet, and I started just incorporating too many carbohydrates. And not necessarily to say that fruit or potatoes are bad, but I was doing like dairy-free ice cream and stuff like that. I got really frustrated last weekend because I went to go see her on Friday, and so the whole weekend I was like, I don't know what to do. And I just made a decision to go into stage 2. I decided to do that for myself. I had done a lot of research about what that stage 2 entails, and it's basically just like a super exaggerated version of the Candida cleanse, but people were talking online, like where I was reading, that they were able to like basically cure their Candida in 10 days. And so I was like, okay, I feel like I'm just dawdling. I feel like I'm not doing everything that I can be doing to make this Candida go away. And so I just decided to do it. Stage 2 has involved, and I'm just calling it stage 2. It's some people's stage 1, but again, it's my stage 2. But stage 2 involved Monday and Tuesday. I did a almost 2-day fast, a 40-hour fast, where all I had was broth and water. Now today is Wednesday, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all I'm going to be eating is steamed vegetables and meat with 1 salad a day. This is a protocol that I got off of draxe.com, which I'll link down below. But he basically says to do the things that I was doing, but then to kind of kickstart things, like, you know, move things into high gear, to do one of the two things. Like, you either do a 2-day bone broth fast, or you do a 3 to 5 day steamed vegetable and meat fast, or you can do both and just kind of have the bone broth fast like kickstart you into the like second phase of that whole thing. And so I just decided to do it because I was like, you know what, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of feeling this way, and I know I can blame my doctor and I can get mad that things aren't progressing. She told me that it was going to take this long because that's just the way that it goes, but I also know that there's more that I can be doing. And so that's what I'm trying to do right now, is take things into my own hands, take things into my own reins, and just make things happen. I think that just goes to show that, like, if you're trying to do certain crazy diets, I think the thing that I've learned, number one, is that you can't crash diet, which I think I always knew, but this was just another good reminder. If you are feeling like you have a leaky gut and you want to do like a cleanse of some kind, I highly recommend that you don't. And I recommend that you go see a doctor, but I also recommend that you ease yourself into it. I have not had dairy and gluten in almost 3 months, and I haven't had caffeine in, oh my gosh, I don't even know, probably 6 weeks. So I have really slowly transitioned myself to this place where I can do a bone broth cleanse and it's not going to be like completely different from what I was doing before. Yes, it's hard, of course it's hard, but it's doable. So I think that just goes to show that if you make slow changes, and you know, if you say like, oh, you know, I think that dairy doesn't really sit well with me, don't go on a Candida cleanse. Like, don't do like keto right away, but just give yourself time to like get rid of dairy and see how you feel. Give yourself months, weeks, in order to just kind of like let your body get used to it. And I know that weeks and months seem like a long time, but if you have a certain goal or you have a certain health issue that you want to change, I would bet money that you have been dealing with those health issues for quite some time, and probably years. So weeks and months are less than years. So even though, you know, you want to see results in weeks or days, maybe it's going to take longer, and that's still going to be okay. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. I will see you next week. Goodbye.